Grenada remains deeply troubled that Cuba continues to experience severe economic hardships due to the imposition of the 60-plus year economic, commercial, and financial blockade, which remains in place and continues to serve no constructive purpose. In that regard, Mr. President, this General Assembly every year considers this agenda item and particular resolution before us entitled Necessity of Ending the Economic, Commercial, and Financial Embargo Imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. And every year, Mr. President, this General Assembly, by an overwhelming majority, adopts this resolution within these hallowed halls. An action to us, Mr. President, that signals a strong repudiation and condemnation of this ongoing blockade imposed on Cuba. Further to, Mr. President, Grenada, as an independent member and sovereign state, with the strong conviction of the sovereign equality of states, reiterates the recognition of the sovereign equality of states and its adherence to the principles of the United Nations and urges all member states to do the same. Additionally, Mr. President, Grenada continues to categorically and unequivocally state and reiterate that it neither promulgates, applies, nor condones laws or measures that encroach on or undermine the sovereign rights of any state, as well as any such laws that restrict or hinder international trade or navigation by any state. It is in this context, Mr. President, that Grenada reiterates its call for the complete removal of the economic, commercial, and financial embargo unilaterally imposed by Cuba by the United States of America. Grenada, like many states, Mr. President, has shared a long-standing, warm, close, and profoundly deep friendship with Cuba. And it is the unarguably selfless, material, and intangible contributions made by Cuba that Grenada believes has added tremendous value to the Caribbean community, added value to the other countries of the Latin American region, and added value to other member states of the wider international community. Further to, Mr. President, it is almost unimaginable to think of such fields as culture and sports, health and medicine, humanitarian interventions across the globe, to name just but a few, where and without the invaluable expertise and contributions and inputs made over generations by Cuba, it would be difficult to see how the world would simply not be a better place. It is against this background, Mr. President, and recognizing that the current blockade in particular has done nothing more than to suffocate and impede what could otherwise be the tremendous economic and socio-economic advancement of the Cuban people. Instead, Mr. President, what we have seen through this 6-decade-long blockade has been continued hardship for the Cuban people, and its effect has only served to be only counterproductive to the goal of human development, not to mention the continued violation of the sovereign rights of Cuba and its people in direct contravention of the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of states. Consequently, Mr. President, Grenada will continue to support the General Assembly's resolution that is before us, A/79/L6. We will also further encourage any states who may have or continue to apply such laws and measures that might reinforce such hardships as created by the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States against Cuba to take the steps necessary to repeal or invalidate them as soon as possible in accordance with their legal regimes. In closing, Mr. President, Grenada will continue to join the international community in fully encouraging, supporting, and promoting all necessary actions that will lead to a decisive resolution that brings to an end the economic, commercial, and financial blockade against Cuba. Mr. President, Excellencies, Grenada stands with Cuba. I thank you, Mr. President.